Curtis Selby's time, breaking down the stories every view will unwind. From left to right, we'll see the light. It's balance we're chasing, no fighters fight. Curtis Selby's talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis Selby's here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby, keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The combo's unique. The combo's unique. Days out with the cheerful whistle and guitar riff. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby, keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The convo's unique. Curtis Selby, talking it straight. Let's hear both sides, let's communicate. Politics and reason, let's find the truth. Curtis Selby's here to bridge it for you. Debates, insights, it's all on the screen. Curtis Selby, keeping it keen. Hit subscribe, stay a while, let's dive in deep with Curtis Selby. The combo's unique. The combo's unique. The combo's unique.
Hail and well met, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, whoever the heck's out here. It is I, Curtis Selby, your tired midnight blogger, well, blogs in this case at 7:34 p.m. And I just felt like doing a random stream, and I decided to do it over this topic because these are the videos people are sending me, and I promise I will try to be a little bit centrist with them. Mainly because I don't really know enough about tariffs myself, and in my own silly way, I want to learn about this topic with you guys. Hopefully I'm also streaming over Rumble, the green machine, because forget, YouTube doesn't like us to talk about that. So if anyone wants to go over there and let me know if that's actually working, because I kind of wonder if it is, that would be much appreciated. All right, I'm going to say hello to everyone in the chat and get talking, because I would like to be done before 9 o'clock, because I want to be, let people go to other streams. Gorillas, I'm sure, is having a stream. I know either Nettie or Big Al is going to be having Films with Friends, or usually do, at Saturday night. So, let me say hello to everybody in here. First person in here, Matt Cheatwood. Howdy, howdy, hail and well met. And let loose the goats of war. I'm wondering if YouTube thinks I'm threatening people when I say that. I don't know. I guess I'll find out soon enough. In a few more days, I'm going to reapply if I can. I do need a few more hours, so if y'all just want to watch something random, like maybe watch videos of Cassie on a loop or something. Hail to Connie Cleary. Hail and well met. I hope you are doing well. I know you're still cranking out those cute little birdie videos, and you're doing those watch parties with all the lovely folks on Wednesdays, Fridays, sometimes another impromptu times. Without the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was what was on. Was that just yesterday? Yeah, it feels like a week ago already. So anyway, and then Max's mom, Vicky. Hail and well met. Sadly, on this channel, I have to be a little more well behaved, but you're always welcome here. Hopefully, I don't bore the crap out of you. Matt Cheatwood has a simple answer to my question. We pay taxes to maintain the illusion that our taxes fund the government, even though the government can print unlimited money. I think that that is true, and hopefully we discover the truth, or at least get a little bit closer to it. Since I'm going to be boring, I will start with just let's start with what the heck is a tariff? This is from Investopedia. I want to be at least somewhat centrist with this one. I don't want to come out and say Trump is brilliant and these tariffs are wonderful. And I also don't want to come out and say Trump is stupid and these tariffs are going to destroy the world. I just want to figure out what the heck. Is either of those statements true, or is neither of them true? What have we got? What is a tariff? Why are they important? Most countries are limited by their natural resources and ability to produce certain goods and services. They trade with other countries to get what their population needs and demands. However, trade isn't always conducted in an amenable manner between trading partners. Policies, geopolitics, competition, many other factors can make trading partners unhappy. Just like this lady over here is very unhappy with my dating profile that I had up several years ago. I really don't blame her. One of the ways governments deal with trading partners that they disagree with is through tariffs. A tariff is a tax imposed by one country on the goods and services imported from another country to influence it, raise revenues, or protect competitive advantages. The key takeaway is governments impose tariffs to raise revenue, protect domestic industries, or exert political leverage over another country. Tariffs often result in unwanted side effects, such as higher consumer prices. Tariffs have a long and contentious history, and the debate over whether they represent good or bad policy still rages. Yes, it is a tax imposed by one country on the goods and services imported from another country to influence it, raise revenues, or protect competitive advantages. Ha ha ha. Let's go back to the chat for a bit. Yes, what the heck? I agree. I agree with that statement. What the heck do we think? Do we think that it's all bad? Do we think it's smart? Do we think it's stupid? What are we going to do with all this information that's thrown at us? Matt Cheatwood, with whom I agree quite often, thinks we should have zero tariffs unless, and again, at the risk of throwing out what I just said about being centrist, this is pretty close to my opinion. All things being equal, I don't think that any nation should tariff another country. The trouble is other countries do impose tariffs on other countries. They especially love to tariff us. And Matt Cheatwood says this, and at least at this point I agree with him. But again, I want to do some investigating here and see if we can learn anything, see if we can basically get a finer, nuanced take on this. When other countries impose tariffs on our goods, Matt Cheatwood suggests that we should match that tariff against them. And that's, I've taken a fair number of economics courses. I've read a fair amount of Ron Paul, but this is still where I stand on it. Again, maybe we'll learn something today that will change my mind. And Mac's mom, Vicky, who I will not say is lovely or luscious in any way, because I don't want her husband to beat the crap out of me, nor do I want my friend that I'm trying to date to hear that and say, Curtis, you're a big poop head. So I'm not saying any of that. Anyway, Mom's mom, Vicky, Max's mom, Vicky, too many M's. It confuses me. She says, same here, Matt. There are people in here. People are talking. Okay, sorry. So understanding tariffs, they are used to restrict imports. Now, personally, I think that's a little a little too simplistic. I don't think that they were ever, at least they weren't originally used with that intent. I think they were originally used with the intent of gathering revenue for the kingdom, government, emperor, robber baron, whoever was imposing them. But they do have that secondary effect. I don't know if I'm going to play the clip or not, but I was reminded today that you get less of the behavior that you tax. It's a simple reward, punish, response. You tax an activity, you get less of it. That's one of the reasons why the government taxes cigarettes. Whether you like that or not, that's the intent, is to reduce the amount of smoking. So you're trying to gather money, but what you in effect often do is to restrict imports from that country that you're tariffing, or you get less of the products that you tariff. And obviously the prices of the tariffs cause the price of the goods to go up. But anyway, simply put, they increase the price of goods and services purchased from another country, making them less attractive to domestic consumers. A key point to understand is that a tariff affects the exporting country because consumers in the country that impose the tariff might shy away from imports due to the price increase. However, if the consumer still chooses the imported product, then the tariff has essentially raised the cost to the customer in another country. There are two types of tariffs. None of these types of tariffs are, in fact, advertisements for banks. Sorry about that. A specific tariff is levied as a fixed fee based on the type of item, such as a $500 tariff on a car. An ad valorem tariff, that's a term I haven't heard in a minute, is levied based on the item's value, such as 5% of an import's value. So basically, it can either just be a simple basic dollar amount, or it can be the percentage of the value. I know I'm being a little bit boring here, but I want us to actually have some grasp of this topic, and I need a review of it myself. So you're probably thinking, Curtis, if you valued our time, you wouldn't be reviewing it with us. But I feel like probably most of us, with the possible exception of Matt Cheatwood, do need a review of this topic before we can really have a good discussion on it. So again, reiterating why governments impose tariffs, it's to raise revenues. That's the main reason. That's in theory the main reason for any tax, even a cigarette tax, is to raise revenues. The second reason for tariffs is to protect domestic industries. The third reason is to protect domestic consumers. I don't know if they will go into it, but I know that there was a time when we put tariffs on Russia or China because we were trying to protect our people from shoddy goods. And there were other reasons as well. Going to the fourth reason here, to protect national interests. Raising revenue. Tariffs can be used to raise revenues for government. This kind of tariff is called a revenue tariff. It's not designed to restrict imports. For instance, in 2018 and 2019, President Donald Trump and his administration imposed tariffs on many items to rebalance the trade deficit. In the fiscal year 2018, custom duties received were $41.6 billion. In fiscal year 2019, duties received were, they said duties, were $71.9 billion. It's not necessarily saying it was a good thing, but it's simply a fact that we made more money off of the tariffs the next year than we had the year before. Going back to the chat, the tit for tat strategy is the most successful game theory strategy so far. And hail and well met to DJ Ronnie G, another wonderful person coming in here. Let me know what you think about tariffs. I know you're a pretty well-informed person. Let me know what you know, think, believe about tariffs. Again, with this one, I'm really not meaning to take a side. It may seem like it when I get to some of the videos that I'm going to share, but my hope is to just see, because I am honestly confused. Is what Trump is doing a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is should we be worried about what's going on with the stock market? Should we just tighten our belts until it turns around? I don't know. Let's find out. Sci-fi Mombi. Ooh. Yes, this is Sci-fi Mombi's statement, and it's hail and well met. Welcome, welcome, and hopefully you are having a wonderful weekend. I know you were streaming or are about to stream. I don't know. Anyway, check her out when you get a chance, because she's good people and she's got great content. The tariffs, according to Sci-Fi Mommy, has never been a good option for anyone. They're voodoo economics. There's a great segment of Ferris Bueller's Day Off that explains them very well. Now I wish because I don't remember that. And what we've been saying before you came here, which is not to discredit what you're saying, is that it seems like most of us so far don't believe in tariffs unless the other country is tariffing us, in which case we respond with reciprocal tariffs. Let me know what you think about that in the chat if you would like. DJ Ronnie G, it's my understanding that China subsidizes many industries in ways that make it even more difficult or impossible for our companies to compete. That is also my understanding, though I may be wrong. For that reason, DJ Ronnie G is okay with tariffs. Heck, I'm willing to try anything within reason. And Sci-Fi Mommy is saying tariffs have never been a good thing. This tit for tat back and forth only ruins people's pocketbooks. There's a great place in Ferris Bueller's Day Off that explains tariffs from Ben Stein, who was a brilliant guy. I am going to give you that. I don't know about the Ferris Bueller speech, but Ben Stein was a pretty bright guy. I always wanted to win his money. DJ Ronnie G, the historical implications and cons are not lost upon me, but when the deck is stacked, Sci-Fi Mommy, sorry, I'm on tall to text. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'm assuming that you're on a call or busy, and therefore it's difficult to text. So I get it. Sci-Fi Mommy, tariffs trickle down into a tax on the American citizens. We have to end up paying more for the goods and services that come into the country, which is true. But yet I wonder, what do we do with the countries that don't really seem to care? Do we just let them tariff us and never reciprocate? That's what I don't know. I'm reasonably confident that the tariffs will get repealed if they do harm. I could be wrong. Yeah, same here, DJ Ronnie G. That's why one reason why I'm doing this stream. That and I just want to stream. Sci-Fi Mombi makes a good point here. Unfortunately, China owns a lot of our debt as well. They have for the last 30 years. It's a topic I haven't really talked much about, partly because I don't really know what to do about that situation. But Matt Cheatwood, Sci-Fi Mombi, and then again, this is Matt Cheatwood, who I mostly agree with. And being fair, I'm probably more on Matt's side than Sci-Fi's on this topic. Having said that, I don't want to be too uppity either way. Sci-Fi Mommy, if tariffs are so bad, why have so many other nations had enormous tariffs on the U.S. for so long? That is my question. Why is it that I think nearly everyone in the chat will agree that we all believe tariffs are bad, they're ultimately harmful, but yet every other country can tariff us and we're not going to say a word, we're not going to protest, and when we tariff back, all of a sudden it's a big moral thing. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, and maybe I'm being unfair. DJ Ronnie G, something needs to be done about the trade deficit. I can definitely see how tariffs are an oversimplified remedy from Trump. And good evening, Sci-Fi Mommy. I think we're all in the same boat. We're all worn out and just trying to figure stuff out. Okay, getting back to talking about tariffs. This is again from Investopedia. I'm just trying to refresh my own mind. I'm trying to refresh all of our minds on the very basics before we dive into policy specifics and things that are probably over my head anyway. So governments impose tariffs to raise revenues, protect domestic industries, protect domestic consumers, and protect national interests. They gave the example here of raising revenue, and I think Investopedia is centrist, but they do give the example that Donald Trump increased the amount of money we got from tariffs from 2018 to 2019. Now, again, that isn't to say that tariffs are good or that what he did was good or anything. It's just that that's what happened. Protecting domestic industries, governments can use tariffs to benefit particular industries, often doing so to protect companies and jobs. I remember we used to make a big deal about protecting our automotive industry. Again, they're using the example of Trump. Maybe Investopedia is pro-Trump and I didn't know it. For example, in April 2018, President Trump imposed a 25% ad valorem tariff on steel articles from all countries except Canada and Mexico. In March of 2022, President Joe Biden replaced the tariff on steel products from the United Kingdom with a tariff rate quota of 500,000 metric tons and reached quota deals with several other countries. So, this proclamation reopened the trade of specific items with the UK while taking measures to protect domestic US steel manufacturing and production jobs. So, if we take that at face value, it sounds like it could have been a good thing that Joe Biden did. Let me know in the chat what you think about that. I'll check real quick to see what you guys have to say. As of, Matt Cheatwood says, as of November 2024, China held approximately $768.6 billion in U.S. Treasury securities, representing about 8.9% of the total foreign held U.S. debt, according to Investopedia. So, enough to be significant, but oversimplifying it, maybe not enough for them to be able to bankrupt this. Maybe I'm wrong. Sci-Fi Mombi, I don't know if we're not. Let's see. Let me slow down. Sci-Fi Mombi says, I don't know if we're not saying a word. We just handle it diplomatically instead of blaring it all over, media and social media. Okay, that's a fair point. Codis Fact Search, chat, can't stay, be awesome. God bless you, Codis Fact Search. I have been looking at the chats. I just haven't got anything to say to it except for good on you guys and keep up the good work. And so between that and being tired and kind of overwhelmed, I've just been kind of silent. So sorry. Not overwhelmed with you guys, overwhelmed with other things. So one other thing that tariffs are used for is protecting domestic consumers. By making foreign-produced goods more expensive, tariffs can make domestically produced alternatives seem more attractive. Some products made in countries with fewer regulations can harm consumers, and this is a point that I think we may come across later if I have the time to play as much of the videos as I want to. A lot of this stuff coming from China and other countries is what we like to call crap. And so, yes, it's cheaper, but do we really want everybody running around with socks that unravel after this, you put them on the second time, or vacuum cleaners that break after 2 months? And then, you have a warranty, but sorry, we speak Chinese. I don't mean to be racist, but I hope you understand what I mean. The customer no service is not going to honor that warranty, is at least my experience. Some products made in countries with fewer regulations can harm consumers, such as a product coated in lead-based paint. Tariffs can make these products so expensive that consumers won't buy them. Effective February 1st of 2025, President Donald Trump placed 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, 10% tariffs on imports from China. The rationale behind these tariffs was to force these countries to cooperate with the U.S. to stem the flow of illegal immigrants and drugs like fentanyl from entering the U.S., as well as to boost domestic manufacturing and raise revenues. I get the example, but I think that that's actually more of an example of protecting national interests. But hey, I didn't write the article, so there it is. Let's see what else we've got in the chat. Matt Wood, it's not the government's function. That's true. Technically, if you're a strict constitutionalist, it's not the government's function to protect consumers from bad decisions. I'm certain we have people in the chat who will disagree with that, though I tend to disagree more than I disagree with that one. What's going on over here? Okay. So, protecting national interests. Tariffs can also be used as an extension of foreign policy, as their imposition on a trading partner's main exports may be used to exert economic leverage. For example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, much of the world protested by boycotting Russian goods or imposing sanctions. In April of 2022, President Joe Biden suspended normal trade with Russia. In June, he raised the tariff on Russian imports not prohibited by the April suspension to 35%. So, there it is. Everybody uses tariffs. Everybody uses them for similar reasons. It's just, again, a matter of, are we using them for the right reasons? Are we overusing them? And so on. Because there are unintended side effects of tariffs. And this is where the debate has been for quite a long time. So the unintended side effects, they can make domestic industries less efficient and innovative by reducing competition. Some would argue that that is part of what happened with the American automotive industry. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I have heard that argument. They can hurt domestic consumers since a lack of competition tends to push up prices. They can generate tensions by favoring specific industries or geographic regions over others. I would suggest that whether Trump intends it or not, or whether he's right or not, that is an unintended consequence here. A lot of Canadian people are upset with Trump, if not the United States itself, for tariffs that are being imposed on them. For example, tariffs designed to help manufacturers in cities may hurt consumers in rural areas who do not benefit from the policy and are likely to pay more for manufactured goods. And we don't care about people in rural areas. Let them get stuffed. I'm being sarcastic. I don't mean that. Finally, an attempt to pressure a rival country by using tariffs can devolve into an unproductive cycle of retaliation, and I think this is what Sci-Fi Mombi's talking about here, commonly known as a trade war. So, the pros of tariffs is they produce revenues, they open negotiations, they support a nation's goals, and they make a market predictable in theory. And the cons, I'm so tempted to make a joke, but I won't. They create issues between governments and sometimes initiate trade wars. I would suggest that in the past, and we're probably having to go back at least a century, but they have probably led to hot actual wars as well. But anyway, so the advantages explained. Tariffs provide a government a chance to bring in more money. They relieve some of the tax burdens felt by a country's citizens. Dude, every time I see a misspelling, I think you guys could hire me. I would not get the spelling wrong this often. But to be fair, this is the first one I've come across. Tax burdens felt by a country's citizens help the government reduce deficits. Open negotiations. Tariffs can be used by countries to open negotiations for trade or other issues. Each side can use tariffs to help them create economic policies and trade with trade partners. Support a nation's goals. One of the most popular uses for tariffs is to use them to ensure domestic products receive preference within a country to support businesses and the economy. They make a market predictable, which I wonder how accurate that is. But at any rate, they're saying that tariffs can help stabilize a market and make prices predictable. And we all know that governments love to make prices predictable. And they're so good at it, too. Disadvantages. Many nations use tariffs to punish or discourage actions they disapprove of. Unfortunately, doing this can create tensions between the two countries and lead to more problems. And a typical response for a country with tariffs imposed on it is to respond similarly, creating a trade war in which neither country benefits from this stuff. All right, so let's get back to the chat. Wow, there's a lot of chat going on. So people are saying hello, hello, hello. Matt Cheatwood does indeed aspire to be a strict constitutionalist. Yeah, no, I get it. And I know we will talk at least a little bit about that, though I only have about a little bit less than an hour to go. So I better hurry if I'm going to do that. So I'm probably not going to share any more about Investopedia, but please feel free in your free time if you want to know more. There's history abounding, even just in this simple website, about the history of tariffs. Tariff sheriffs. And hello, Suzanne. Speaking of wonderful Canadians, we love Canada. We love Canadians. We hate your government, though. Sorry. No threats intended. Please don't take that as a threat, YouTube. I just hope that Canada gets a better government soon. Matt Cheatwood, I do not think there's a single nation that could survive a trade war with the U.S. That is a strong statement. Y'all let me know what you think about that. I'm tempted to agree with him. Let me know. Should I agree with Matt, or should I be contentious here? There's certainly not any nation or group of nations that could prevail in an actual war with the U.S. I don't know how much longer that is true, but I would suggest that it has been for a little while, and I think we're still there, but I don't know. In fact, all the U.S. has to do is stop patrolling the world's oceans. Virtually all international trade will cease in a few years. Well, we saw what was going on with the spiffy Houthi pirates and things. So let us. I'm going to share a video. I do not know that this guy. I don't know much about this guy. So please forgive me if he ends up not being a great source, but I watched his video today, and between that and another one, I've felt inspired to talk about this. I want to know what you guys think about this. I haven't done any fact checking on this. This may end up being complete garbage. But again, this is one of the things that I love to do, is share these things with you guys and find out what we think. Curtis is going to share this stream, or share this screen. All right. I don't want to share the whole video, partly because YouTube will nail me if I do, but also it's not the guy himself or his commentary that I care about so much. It's the things that he shares. Let's take a look at this.
More and more government stimulus. It's why the establishment is revolting over evil.
Okay, let me put it into a little bit of context. So one of the biggest wealth transfers maybe ever was in 2020. I don't know how many people know this, but a massive amount of wealth was transferred from the bottom. We're always talking about the rich need to pay their fair share. And I don't want to completely discount that, but I do want to point out that if you're for the top wealthy people paying their fair share, I feel like there ought to be more not happiness with what happened in 2020, because the bottom 50% of the population lost massive amounts of money, and the top 1% gained almost exactly that amount of money. This is one of the things this gentleman's going to talk about. And I know you're probably thinking, wait, what's that got to do with tariffs? Well, we'll get there.
Elon and Doge, but now these tariffs are freaking them out. They've never seen a politician who's actually working for the people, and they're freaking out. The Republican-controlled Senate voting yesterday to restrict Trump's ability to levy these tariffs, trying to pull back his Canadian tariffs. 4 Republicans voting with the Democrats, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, and Rand Paul. Why, oh, why?
Now, Rand Paul is one of my heroes. He's very strongly against tariffs. And again, all things being equal, so am I. In other words, if China was not imposing a tariff on us, I would say it's the height of stupidity to impose a tariff on them, and so on and so on. Darth Plato's in the house. Let's see what they have to say. If the U.S. withdrew from the world, the control of water would turn over to green water navies. Interesting. Matt Chewood responds, which nations other than the U.S. have enough ships to do so? Darth Plato, I said green water navies, not blue water. Okay. I think I'm going to move on to what this guy's saying. So he's upset that some Republicans challenged Trump. I'm not so much upset about that myself, but let's see how does he bolster this point?
Why, Rand? What in the world are you thinking?
He's thinking what he always thinks. He's thinking libertarian. But anyway, neither here nor there. You can be against Rand if you want to. You can leave your worries behind, but your friends love Rand. And if you love Rand, then you're a friend of mine. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Watch as Adam Schiff explains how they're working with some Republicans to restrict Trump's trade authority even further. Watch.
Crisp on the implementation is one thing. What else are you hearing from your Republican colleagues, their concerns about these tariffs?
Oh, I think their concerns are profound, not just with how much pain is going to be inflicted on their constituents, but what it's going to mean for them politically. We may have a vote shortly by Senator Tim Kaine, that will give Congress a chance to push back against some of these tariffs, particularly those targeting our Canadian neighbors. And I think many of the Republicans are inclined to support it. We'll see how many are actually willing to put their votes where their private comments are.
This is the first time in nearly 50 years since the 1970s, the bottom half of this country, the normal folk, middle class, Main Street is benefiting, and the establishment in D.C. losing their freaking minds over it.
Okay. Now, again, I know I haven't shared much of what, mainly because it's just him saying so, and I haven't been able to verify it. But this gentleman's take is that the wealth transfer from 2020 is being reversed now. Now, I don't know that I believe this, but it's really fascinating to hear the things that he shares to try to prop it up. His argument is that, yes, we see all this stock market loss, but what it really is, again, his statement, not mine necessarily, not mine at all, actually, just I'm trying to investigate this with you guys. his belief is that this is what we're seeing is actually a transfer of the wealth back from the 1% to the 50% who had lost it in 2020. I don't know if he gives enough to actually prop that up, but he gave enough information to intrigue me, but he does it later on in the video, not at the first. It's just him saying that it happened. Well, I would love to see something to back that up. And here, when we talk about someone who backs things up, meow, meow to Moira Kitty. Hail and well met. I hope you are doing well. We're talking tariffs, and I would be really intrigued to know what is Moira's take on tariffs, because I don't know. Please let me know in the comments. Darth Plato, green water means less local coastal waters. Blue water means seas and oceans beyond your local coasts. Gotcha. So China would likely secure the East Asian waters, including the South China Sea. Japan moved to this very thing leading up to 1935, which, as we all know, ended very well. And I'm not making fun of you, Darth Plato. I'm just making a quip at Japan. With parts made in Japan. Secret, I've got a secret. Darth Plato, which led to the diplomatic collision course between Japan and the United States and the United Kingdom. Matchy with green water navies would not be able to protect international trade. They would, in fact, be free to conduct state-sponsored piracy. Darth Plato, the world would merely revert to how international trade worked before the global domination of the Royal Navy, post 1740. So, yeah, it does sound like there would be more pirates, which might be a good thing. I think I look good in a pirate hat. I almost bought one last weekend, but they were a little too high. DJ Ronnie G, China hassles Filipino vessels in the South China Seas. Oh, much an interest. Yeah. All right, let me skip to how this, well, I guess I'll keep playing for another minute. This is the graph the gentleman uses to quote unquote prove his point. I don't know that he does prove it. It just fascinates me because I would love for this to be true. I just don't know that I can believe what he says. Let's see what he says, though.
Look at this chart from B of A this morning, put out by Michael Artnett, really smart guy on Wall Street, showing the Trump effect in real time. The higher this line goes, the more money's being sucked out of Main Street and going to Wall Street. That's what we've been seeing for years, for decades. It's been that way. Well,
okay.
Not anymore. For the for years, money's being sucked.
Let's pause it and look at this chart. So basically, according to him, this is the money that's going from the poor to the rich, essentially. And here we have it peaking, I would say very roughly like 2020, 2021. And now, according to this guy, Trump is reversing this. But I would, even though, again, I want this guy to be right, but I would like to point out, it looks like the trend is actually reversing already by 2023. So again, I don't know if he's got a good point or not. Let me go ahead and skip ahead because I don't want to just have him ranting about how much he loves Trump. Let's go to the next point.
Much more than Wall Street this time around. Also adding something that you won't hear on corporate media or in the financial press, something we've been saying for months, that tariffs are de facto deflationary, not inflationary. And Trump confirming all of this morning, what he's doing, posting this video to his Truth Social account this morning, reposting it. This is Trump's way of trying to explain his strategy here. Watch.
Trump is crashing the stock market by 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now, here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May, and those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also...
All right, let me pause for a bit. What do you think about that? I think he's oversimplifying, but there is some truth. When stocks crash, bonds tend to be the big thing that people invest in after that. Is it just that simple that Trump is trying to force basically the rich, because the rich are, there's another video, I'm not going to share it here, but the top 8% of wealthy people own 88% of the stock. Now think about that. So when you see that the stock market is crashing, yeah, it's hurting us, but the bulk of the loss is coming from the rich. Think about that. Again, I'm not saying that proves this guy's point, but I think it's an interesting point, and I just want to investigate it a little bit, or at least talk about it a little bit with you guys. Is that what Trump is doing? Forcing the rich to dump some of their stock? There's so much commentary I want to give, and I don't have time for it, but is he forcing the rich to dump their stocks and reinvest in treasuries? I'm just interested to know what you guys think about that. A lot of chat going on here. DJ Ronnie G, Japan, China, and Taiwan all lay claim to the Senkaku Islands. Will this ignite a future powder keg? I do worry about that myself. I do. Matt Cheatwood, international trade wasn't really a thing prior to 1740s. Well, I mean, it was, but not nearly to the same extent. DJ Ronnie G, the Philippine Coast Guard has been pretty good about it. I've heard, I mean, I know this sounds odd, but I've heard good things about the Filipino Coast Guard. Let me know in the chat if I'm full of crap. The Philippine sailors aren't taking the bait. They don't shoot the first shot. Darth Plato, the reason why people are freaking out is because no one knows where Trump is going with this. And I'll admit, I don't. This creates uncertainty in the market, which means people will hold back with their money. Darth Plato, Trump sounds he's saying prosperity will emerge from the simple act of enacting tariffs, which doesn't make sense. And yeah, again, as much as I want to believe a lot of this stuff, that is kind of my thought too. I do believe in reciprocal tariffs, but I don't think that alone will generate wealth. Anyway, Matt Cheatwood says, I don't think the line going downwards means money is going back to the poor, just going to the rich more slowly. And yeah, that's what I think. The gentleman in the video believes that it is going to the poor. I tend to be more on your lines, that it's not that money is going to the poor. I mean, I would love it if it was. It's just that the rich are sucking up the money slower, which, frankly, that's still a win in my book. But maybe I'm full of crap. Darth Plato, if T-Man is using tariffs as some sort of leverage with other countries, that's different. I don't think that's what's happening. And Darth, I'm with you. I want to believe. I want to think that that's what he's doing, is he's using it to leverage other countries. But I'm just hesitant enough that I'm not really sure what he's doing. I know what I want to believe, but I have to try to be intellectually honest. And hail and well met, Sashi, the man from the future. I hear that Malaysia is going to destroy the United States with tariffs, and I'm just joking. I honestly don't know anything about that. But you are always welcome here, and I hope you are doing well. Matt Cheatwood, I am opposed, and this is going to be something I can agree with. I can already tell it. I am opposed to the government manipulating the free market in any way. I don't give two craps about the market crashing. And you know, the great thing about that is, Matt, I know what you mean, and I am actually right behind you, but I can already hear some of my friends, oh my gosh, you don't care that the market is dropping? Look, I got to tell you something. The richest that my family, well, I shouldn't exaggerate, but the beginning of my family's road to wealth that later precipitately crashed and burned and led to me living a life of poverty. But my family was relatively wealthy at one time. And my granddad was keeping his head during the Great Depression. He was buying when everyone else was selling. He made a killing. And yeah, YouTube's probably going to nail me on, oh, he's threatening people with killing. He made a lot of money. He made a lot of money during the Depression. It's kind of one of the other reasons why I'm sharing this. I'm kind of hoping that some of you will not panic, will actually buy instead of sell while the stocks are down. And maybe you can be the ones that make the money instead of the billionaires for a change. Maybe I'm full of crap. I don't know. Everybody saying hi to each other. Enigma Severus, hail and well met. If you are doing the decline of Christianity, I would like to be involved. I would love that, Enigma. Let me take a quick check on the poll. Right now, we're tied for two. And I don't know if I'm doing it Monday or Tuesday. It's kind of going to depend on how busy I am Monday at work. But I'm going to stream. I'm going to try to get back in the habit of doing my Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday streams. But right now it's tied between how social media programs us and the decline of Christianity. So if I'm going to keep on top of the poll, but absolutely, Enigma, if the community chooses the decline of Christianity, I would absolutely be honored and proud to have you on with me here. Darth Plato, money is not passing from the lower 50% to the upper 50%. This presupposes that economics is a zero-sum game, which it isn't. And that's going to be in competition for the quote of the stream right there. This is, I feel like this is the difference between a lot of people who embrace capitalism and people who embrace, shall we say, things that are not capitalism. Now, I'm not a laissez-faire capitalist. I don't want to claim that. I'm okay with people who are, because I get why they are, but I am myself not. Having said that, I think that all too often government programs hurt rather than help. Just like the tariffs, I think all too often government programs that are intended to help have unintended consequences. All too often they're very incompetently administered. Lots of graft goes on, lots of, the government won't mind a few dollars going. Now, I know the poor are starving and they're having trouble with their rent, but really what this money really needs to go is to this political campaign over here. And both sides do it. So please don't, I'm not saying it's just a Democrat thing. It's both parties that do this. So, but the biggest reason why I'm more about capitalism than the other is because when you look at the economy as just a zero-sum game, I don't have any studies to back this up with, but I've believed most of my life that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we work as a society under the assumption that it's a zero-sum game, it will be a zero-sum game. And from that point on, it's just us trying to get more of the pie. And in order for us to have more, you have to have less. Whereas capitalism has the theory that it's an ever, maybe not eternally, but it's a mostly growing and expanding pie, which means that I can grow my wealth, I can grow my life, and it doesn't have to be at your expense. And therefore, it does not have to be the rich versus the poor. It can be, it should be, I know it's not, but it should be the poor climbing out of poverty. It should be the rich helping the poor out of poverty. That's my vision of capitalism. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. I've got to get through these videos. But the rich aren't rich because they were subsidized by the not so rich or poor. And okay, another brilliant point. Another brilliant point. We have, look, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I guarantee that it does happen as far as you have government people who've grifted from the system. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing billions that have come from the taxpayers. Now, granted, you don't necessarily, that's not necessarily, it's not necessarily saying that the money's going from the poor, but I'm going to paraphrase Ron Paul. I hope you'll forgive me for this, but all too often, foreign aid ends up taking money from the poorest Americans and giving it to the richest and most autocratic of foreign governments. I think a lot of that happened with the USAID. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I know that there's issues and there's definitely things that we need to think about. But I myself am totally okay with USAID being shut down. I am vastly tired of Americans working their guts out just so that our government can do stupid crap with the money. Enigma Severus, it does have new toys and it's fantastic, but I'm not going to share it on this channel because, you know, I value your privacy. Darth Plato, international trade was a thing since at least the 10th century. And as you know, it was a thing intermittently throughout history. It was a thing during the Roman Empire and the Roman Republic and the Greek thing and all that. But then, you know, there was that Dark Age thing. And there was still international trade. It was just more limited after the fall of Rome. And yeah, after the 10th century, especially after Marco Polo and then the discovery of America, so on and so on. Sashi, Malaysia is just confused at the moment. The list we charge, the list said we charge a 47% tariff on stuff from the U.S., but no one here knows what that refers to. And this, as much as I am tempted to be pro-Trump on this issue, this is one of the things that I worry about. How accurate is our information about tariffs? So the pro-Trump part of me has wanted to say stuff like, well, the Canadians charge 200% on milk. Do you guys agree with that? Well, haven't been able to verify whether that's true or not. That may be science fiction. If it's true, then I'll be blunt. To me, that's a point in Trump's favor. If it's not true, it's another example of people just pulling statistics out of their butt and then making decisions based off of that. Matt Cheatwood responds to Darth Plato. I don't mean to say international trade didn't ever happen. I mean, there was little to no confidence that any ship would arrive safely at a destination due to piracy. That's a good point. Mark Molikoff, Kapla, hail and well met. Glory to you and your house. Mark says, stock up on essentials you need now. It's going to be a wild ride. Prices will rise in the short term, just like during the pandemic. Oh, I said that out loud. I'm sorry. And there will be shortages. Darth Plato, piracy was always a problem, true, but it wasn't an absolute. Sashi says, do we have a massive difference? We do have a massive difference in trade with the U.S., though, mainly because we're not as big or as wealthy, and you guys buy rubber and electronics from here. Intel has been here since the 70s. Don't tell what's inside. Matt Cheatwood responds to Darth Plato. Compare that to the situation since the end of the World War II, where everyone is shocked if a ship doesn't get to where it's going safely. And Darth Plato, trade is supposed to have a difference. I mean, it's just going to. There's always going to be some kind of difference in trade. Ideally, you want to get to trade less to get more. I mean, that was the whole point between merchants anyway, was to make a profit. The input output isn't supposed to be equal. Matt Cheatwood, like I just heard a guy say, I buy stuff from restaurants all the time. Why don't they ever buy from me? This deficit is unfair. See, now we are all understanding. Darth Plato responds to Sashi, yes, rubber is a strategic resource in international trade since the British has worked out specialist economies. That's the advantage of being a major world actor. Matt Cheatwood is responding to what I was talking about, how the pie can grow. And let's not forget, that was the dream of Star Trek. That was the dream of sci-fi. And maybe it's not true. Maybe I am the one that is wrong. But to me, if it isn't true that the pie constantly grows, then we never have a Star Trek kind of society. If there isn't some way, and again, I don't have enough facts to be, so if you want to blow me out of the water, blow me out of the water. But if it isn't possible that we get that dilithium crystal style of energy, if we don't get that increase in ability to use and create energy, we're stuck. We're stuck here on the earth, and we'll never go out to the stars. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're thinking about the whole, what kind of economic system do I believe in? Whether it's capitalist or not, we'll never reach the stars unless it's true that there's there's fluctuations, but over time, it's an ever increasing pie of energy, goods, services, etc., etc. We'll never reach the stars if it's not. Darth Plato responds to Matt Cheatwood. Look at the Adriatic piracy of the 3rd century BC or Sicilian piracy of the 1st century BC. The Romans went to war to stop it. Piracy is an old problem, same in East Asia. Yeah, I remember the famous line, Julius Caesar was captured by pirates, and for some reason they just thought he was fun and funny, and he was talking to the captain, joking with him about how he was going to have the guy crucified when he captured him. And later, when Julius Caesar was ransomed, he gathered up a fleet, caught those pirates, and crucified all of those captains. Fun fact. And the pie can shrink too. Yes. And that, again, that's the thing that you have to be, if you believe in the ever increasing pie, you have to be reasonable, because it's not going to be eternal in that it just doesn't grow and grow and grow and grow. There are times when it shrinks. You look at the Great Depression, you look at the time of the Great Black Plague, other times. There are times when it shrinks. The hope, I don't know if it's a fact, but the hope is that over time, it's constantly increasing, or maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't use the term constantly, but it's increasing over broad time. Matt Cheatwood, capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any previous social paradigm. I had one of my liberal friends argue that that was not true. Neither of us could really disprove the other. I won't say any more about that, but I do believe that that is true. Capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any previous social paradigm. I wish I could accept Christianity, but I would suggest that even Christianity did not lift more people out of poverty. Sashi, fun fact about rubber in Malaysia, it was not from here. Some Brits stole seeds from Brazil, and the British Empire grew it in Malaysia to break Brazil's monopoly on rubber. Those Brits, those silly Brits. Mark Malikoff, lobbying needs to be abolished. It's a legal form of bribery. In fact, that's what I'm going to go into next. I know that seems arbitrary, but I want to get to that part of the speech before going, and I've only got about 20 minutes left. Matt Cheatwood, Darth Plato, of course, the pie can shrink, but then ignorant people think someone else is taking their slice. Darth Plato is recommending we check out Frank DeConter's video on uncommon knowledge concerning how China and why China has grown economically since 1949. I'm going to write that down because otherwise I'll forget. A tired old man writing down things in a book. Tired blogging. All right. You know, I could just take a picture of it too. Why don't I do that? One of these days I'll get into the 21st century. Well, yeah. Curtis in the 21st and a half century. Sorry, getting texts. Text. You can text if you want to. You can leave your worries behind. But your friends don't text. And if they don't text, well, they're no friends of mine. Which is not true. Okay, there, I got it. Enigma Severus, that is actually really interesting. At Sashi. Sashi says, since you brought up USAID, I was looking at what NGOs were funded here. Most of it was hidden. What I found was that they funded some which were on opposing sides. And that's so frustrating because the United States does it all the time. Moira points it out. We'll fund one side of a conflict and the other side. And I'm like, you know, the conflict might end quicker if you would either just fund one side or let them both just go at it. Yes. Ancient Klingon saying trust but verify. And hail John Ponerero, who is verifying that I am evidently streaming on Rumble. Thank the gods. Because Rumble's doing weird things. I need to figure it out. But John Ponerero is at Olive Garden. Just saw the post and is saying hail to all. Darth Plato, the Dems nowadays believe trust us, don't verify. That is true. With respect to my friends who are Dems, I feel that that is true. Counting sheep, hail and well met. Hope you are doing well. The fact that the tariff numbers are bogus actually works in our favor. Appearing crazy and unpredictable is a stronger negotiating position, ironically. The Kim Jong-un method. There is something to that. Read the 48 Laws of Power someday. Mark Malikoff, speaking of dilithium, have to go back to the mine. See you later. Kapla. Have a good evening. All right. Sashi needs to get ready for work. See you guys. John is just cutting in the mass thought on tariffs. Yes, I shared a little bit about that. I want to share, I'm going to finish the chat and then I want to share one thing from a different video, which is about lobbying. Matt Cheatwood, fun fact, the Black Death led directly to a vast increase in wealth in Europe, and the Enlightenment and Industrial Revolution would not have happened without it. I do know that sadly, it's simple supply and demand. There's a 25% fewer people. That means that suddenly people are worth more. Their work is worth more. And so part of the reason why, and I'm oversimplifying a little here, please forgive me, Darth Plato, you will know better than this, but I think that was part of why a middle class developed and became so strong, was because all of a sudden it went to a human being was a dime a dozen to you'd better pay me at least moderately well, or you aren't getting jack out of me. All right, so caught up in the chat. So let's share this other one. I apologize, I haven't really shared everything I wanted to on this one, but if you're interested, please watch this one. RJ Talks, Trump makes major announcement on tariffs. I'm not sure that I agree with all of it, but it is fascinating to hear him share some of these things about what he thinks Trump is doing and why he's doing it. I want to share. This is one of my favorite people, interviewing someone that I think I need to learn more about. This is Winston Marshall. There's been a coup that no one knows about. Representative Thomas Massie exposes Congress like never before. There's a lot of meat in this stream. I will not even be able to get through a tiny portion of it, so I wanted to get to what I felt most moved by when I listened to. And he talks about being one of the few Republicans who voted against Trump on certain issues, certain budget issues, certain tariff issues. But to me, the most important thing that he talks about is lobbying and how it's become just a worm. He talks about how he feels like Trump is being fooled by the swamp again, like he was last time. I am hoping that he's been fooled less, but I don't doubt that it's possible, because the swamp is good at fooling us all. If nothing else, that's what they're good at. I wanted you to hear what Thomas Massie has to say about lobbying.
Tariffs, which are taxes in a way. So back to your question of should you ban lobbying, you have to define lobbying. Maybe it's the money from lobbyists that you want to ban.
Definitely.
There's another layer to this onion that people don't fully appreciate. I didn't know it existed until I got here. When I got here, a lobbyist wanted to have a meeting with me, and I took the meeting, and my fundraiser was there. This is a woman who helps me raise money. She said, you should take this meeting. And I had no idea what the meeting was about. And they said, they opened the meeting and said, you're a talented individual. You're a smart guy. You went to MIT. You shouldn't be wasting your time on these committees you're on. You need to get on the Ways and Means Committee. And my friends and I will raise you the money that's required to get you on the Ways and Means Committee.
All right. I'm going to pause right there. This was an eye-opener to me. I feel like I've been a naive fool for years because I've never heard this before. What does he mean? We're going to give you the money to be on that committee. I hope you all can just hear the implications, and you're possibly all of you know all about this and are thinking, Curtis, you're a naive blankety blank. We all knew this all the time. I sadly did not. I'm going to take a look at a couple of chats and then hear the answer. Well, what does he mean by we're going to give you the money to get on that committee? Darth Plato says it's common in history after a dark episode of bloodletting. It's followed up by years of free living and growth. Matt Cheatwood, personally, I think it's arguable that the boomer generation's large size led to a labor surplus. I agree. That has caused the wage stagnation and collapse of the standard of living in the United States. I totally agree with that. Since when are committee positions for sale? And Darth Plato, I'm going to give you the runner-up for comment of the stream. I'm going to be this to me, even though it's so obvious, but Matt Cheatwood, this is the comment of the stream. Since when are committee positions for sale? Let's find out.
Which, by the way, is like $500,000 or $1 million.
What's the Ways and Means Committee?
It's the tax committee.
Okay.
See, it's considered probably the most powerful committee because we don't have a flat tax. We don't have a flat tariff. It's because we have all these variations and deductions and exemptions. And everybody's here trying to get one of those. And if you're on that committee, you know, I'm for instance, on the transportation committee. So you can imagine the concrete lobbyists would be interested, right? Or the airplane manufacturers might be interested. But guess who's interested in the tax committee? Everybody. It's not like a subset of America that's interested in that committee. Everybody's interested in that committee. And so all the lobbyists are prone to donating to people on that committee. So if you hold one of those committee seats, you're supposed to collect the money from those lobbyists that are interested in the subjects that come in front of your committee and give it to the party. And there's a dues system here.
Did any of you, please let me know if any of you knew this. If you're going to get on that committee, you have to get money from the lobbyists, give it to the political party, and then the political party does whatever the heck they want. They might give it to the USAID. They might give it to whatever candidate. They refuse to give any of it to Tulsi Gabbard. But in effect, that's what he's saying, that committee seats, I mean, you don't directly take the money. You know, I'm sure it just goes into your campaign or whatever, but you have to give $500,000 to your political party if you want a seat on that committee. I've never heard that before. And, you know, the thing is, maybe I shouldn't, but I believe him. After all the corruption that we've uncovered, I know I need to look more into this, but I totally believe that this is what's going on. Darth Plato, positions in government for sale speaks to the degree of venality that exists. France before the French Revolution was notorious for this. And Matt Cheatwood saying blatant corruption. I'm going to play maybe one more minute, and then I'm going to call it a stream. Let's see what else he has to say. And there's so much more in this. Please, if you've got the time, please watch this. But if I wanted to at least get what to me was the most important revelation out of this video, that committee seats are basically for sale.
When I first got here and they went to the trouble of sending me the bill, it was $300,000 every election cycle I was supposed to give the party for the privilege of serving on these committees. And they say it's legal because the committees aren't in the Constitution. So they believe it's something that they can extract rent from. And because this is all happening within Congress, Congress isn't going to make a law to stop it. So they charge you rent for the committees you're on. And if you want to be on a really lucrative committee, you have to pay higher rent. And you don't go back home. You know, I'm from Kentucky. I can't go back home and sit in somebody's living room and do a fundraiser with 20 people who like being represented by me, like what I stand for, and tell them, well, I'm going to need you all to get out your wallets and write me a $5,000 check because this ain't free. It's not cheap to be on the Ways and Means Committee. You're going to have to donate. money to me just so I can be on a committee. I think Americans would revolt, the kind that you do a fundraising in their living room with.
Yeah.
They would reject that out of hand. But you can do that with lobbyists. The lobbyists know that's the game that's played. And
The lobbyists know that is the game that's played. And it's okay because it doesn't say anywhere in the Constitution that we can't do this. All right. So Darth Plato positions in government were created just to sell them. This may be a factor in our government in getting so bloated. I think so. The Grand Chamberlain of the Candlesticks was a real government position in pre-1789 France. Our government could easily slip into this. And Matt Cheatwood, time to outlaw both the D's and the R's. Fire every staffer. Elect a whole new Congress. Start from scratch. Oh, I would love it if that would happen. And Darth Plato, it's human nature. Well, I'm going to call it a stream because I know that there are other streams y'all want to go to. Probably more entertaining and definitely less silly and political. I don't know that we established anything. Again, I'm not saying that Trump is good. I'm not saying Trump is bad. I'm not saying tariffs are good or that tariffs are bad. All I'm really saying is, one, we need to think about tariffs. We need to learn about tariffs. We need to be more educated about the stuff, myself included. Absolutely. And two, just so you know it, positions on these committees are for sale. It's all a money game. And, think about it whatever you want. But we've been played pretty much all of our lives. And that's why we take comfort from the soft prone music. Matt Cheatwood, it's not my nature. That's because we're mutants, Matt. We're not human. I'm just kind of teasing. It is corruption. It is evil. We must not allow it. All right, let me go through the chat and thank everybody for being here. I don't know. I had fun. I hope you guys did too. And I hope you learned a little bit. Maybe not a lot. Hopefully at least the last part was worth your time. Hail and well met, Matt Cheatwood, wonderful human being, and I hope you are recovering well. For what it's worth, prayers are going up for you, sir. Connie Cleary, wonderful bird woman of YouTube, one of the great moderators. Check out her second channel, Fluff Chick Productions. Wonderful creator. She will soothe the savage breast with her videos of birds with soft music. Better music than the soft prone. Max's mom, Vicky, wonderful human being here, supporter of Connie's venture and Dino's really incredible late night radio plays. Really beautiful human being here and sharer of hilarious memes. Great sense of humor. DJ Ronnie G, check out this gentleman. He's very well informed and produces some very thought-provoking videos. Sci-Fi Mombi, always please check her out. While we disagree a lot on politics, she is amazingly good people and she's pretty intelligent in her own right. She can hold her own. So we probably all need to check out Ferris Bueller's Day Off and listen to Ben Stein's talk about tariffs. It's been a minute since I've seen that. Tariffs, at the end of the day, like I say, personally, I'm not for them, but I am for reciprocating when people throw them at us. I don't know how that can be fixed or solved. But anyway, Coda's Fact Search, welcome. I hope you've had a wonderful day, and I am always gratified that y'all are getting better toys. Makes me so happy. Suzanne, a wonderful human being from Canada. Hope you are doing well. I hope Canada is doing well. And please God, I hope the tariffs don't make things too bad. Darth Plato, many thought-provoking and many intelligent comments. I'm so glad you were here. Please, I I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, thank you for being here, Moira Kitty. Meow meow. I hope you are doing well. Another wonderful creator. Please check her out. You will learn some things that maybe you'd wish you hadn't, but you'll learn some things that will make your hair stand on end. And she also does some incredible watch parties. Yeah. Thank you for being here. I've learned a ton from you. I probably need to learn more, to be frank. Hail Sashi, well met, and I hope you are doing well at work. He often contributes recipes, Malaysian recipes, to Mrs. Dadman Walking. So if you want to check those out, I know I need to learn more cooking. Someday I need to check that out and make some of them myself. Enigma Severus. You know what? I'm glad I saw this. Let me see. It looks like how social media programs us is what you guys want me to talk about. So next Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, depending on how work goes, I will be talking about social media and how they control us. I'll write this down in my calendar. Woo-doo. Social media, which I'm terrible with. Who else? Mark Molnikov. I know you're back in the mines. In a mine. We didn't talk about Snow White. So sad. I feel sorry for deleted scenes. He said if he got 10 super chats, he'd do a watch and review of Snow White. So he got those within about 5 minutes. I don't know if it's because we love him or because we're angry at him, which I am not angry at him at all. He's a wonderful guy. John Ponterero, thank you for showing up and for your wonderful comments. I hope you are doing well at Olive Garden. And thank you for the videos that you shared. Accounting Sheet. I hope you're doing well and that life is less dramatic. But if it is still on your side, prayers going up for you, sir. Who have I missed? Yes, Cassie is here. Cassie. Okay, there's more people saying more things. I'll finish with the last minutes of the chat. Till that, Isiriko Yamamoto was a competent poker player. Indeed. And your points are not lost upon me, Matt Cheatwood. I hope it was a good stream. Thank you very much. DJ Ronnie G, yeah, Kurtz, my last stream was about a movie, the movie letters from Iwo Jima. I was easily derailed from the topic, but eventually got on with it. That sounds really cool. The pick I'm using should be the Trump man playing hangman. YouTube's already mad at me. I don't want to make them any more mad than they already are. All right, it's been a while since I've used the phrase, but I'm going to end this with my old catchphrase. It's been said that life is pain. Anyone telling you otherwise is trying to sell you something. I, in fact, am trying to sell you something. I'm trying to sell you on the idea that you are, in fact, smart enough to run your own life. You don't need big governments and big corporations telling you how to do so. Cassie says that she's tired and that life is rough. Lastly of all, I want you to know that you are not going mad. Yes, Cassie, I love her. She's just the best dog ever. You're not going mad. You're going sane in a world gone mad. God bless all of you, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please be sure and tip your congressman to help him get the seat of his choice.